Kathryn works for the New South Wales DPI and has been the site manager of the Macquarie MLP site for a number of years, overseeing the ewes and their lifetime data collection. With a background in genetics and agricultural extension, Kathryn has a wealth of experience. However, we're lucky to have her here today as she is currently seconded to the New South Wales DPI leader position in pastures, but lucky for us, she still loves sheep. So welcome, Kathryn, and you're right to go. I have your screen up and yeah, thanks very much.
Thanks, Fiona, and also thanks to Matthew. So as Fiona said, I'm going to provide a bit of an overview of the Macquarie site and also a little bit of a guided tour through our MLP journey so far. So the Macquarie MLP site is located at the New South Wales Department of Primary Industries Trangie Agricultural Research Centre in the central west of New South Wales. It's about an hour from Dubbo. The site is just over 10,000 acres in size, or 4,000 hectares, and is a mixed farm. We presently run sheep and beef enterprises associated with research projects on native pastures and also dryland lucerne. There are also cereal and pulse crops under both dryland and irrigated scenarios on site as part of farming systems research. The site was initially established as a demonstration farm in 1914 and still carries the wool brand TEF, which stands for Trangie Experimental Farm. The Trangie Agricultural Research Centre is one of 21 New South Wales DPI research stations across the state of New South Wales. So Trangie Agricultural Research Centre has a long history of research in sheep and beef genetics, genomics, meat and wool science, reproduction and disease traits such as fly strike. Other research undertaken on site includes temperate and tropical pastures and grazing trials, cereal and pulse agronomy and farming systems demonstration, irrigation water use efficiency, biofuels, and most recently, rangeland goat production. So to give some context, Trangie is in the non-seasonal rainfall zone where a similar amount of rain is received in each season, and this is shown in the chart on the right. The chart on the left shows the mean, minimum and maximum temperatures on a monthly basis. So it's a fairly mild environment in most years, and in wet years with warm soil temperatures, we can get phenomenal pasture growth. But as Matthew and Fee have both mentioned, we haven't had the usual seasons at Trangie since the MLP started at the end of 2016. So compared to the long-term median, which is shown here in black, 2017, 2018 and 2019 were very unusual. In fact, 2019, with an annual total of 160 millimetres, was the lowest on record. Then we had 2020, which saw improving conditions, and now the start of 2021, where we have received over 80% of our annual average rainfall in less than 5 months. So the Macquarie MLP ewes have truly experienced the extremes. To put the run of years into perspective, this chart is an output of the New South Wales DPI Seasonal Conditions Information Portal. At a parish level, it is possible to track 3 indicators: rainfall, soil water, and plant growth, which together provide us with a combined drought indicator. So for Trangie, we can see the MLP project commenced in late 2016 with the first AI program coming off the back of a bumpy year. It was in the top 10% of rainfall years in 2016. As we've seen, low rainfall in 2017, 18 and 2019 culminated in an intense drought in the summer of 2019-20. From then, we've seen significant recovery, abundant green feed, and livestock in cracking condition. However, our autumn has been dry. For our ewes, this has been the view from the paddock prior to lambing in 2017. So this is the foundation ewes, the first AI program. In 2018, so this is the output of our second AI program, and you can see at lambing that it was fairly dry. 2019, we were still feeding, and the pasture conditions were pretty poor. In 2020, we saw the return of some green feed. And now, most recently, at the end of March, when we were on site for our annual general meeting and site meeting. So Matthew's made mention of the across-site design of the MLP project. At the Macquarie site, we had 15 sires that were joined by AI to generate the 2017 drop, and we had 16 sires joined for the 2018 drop. There are link sires between drops, between MLP sites, and also back to standard merino sire evaluation. Sires were joined to 2 contrasting ewe types, which means we have 62 progeny groups. Can you just imagine the drafting required to put them all on display? Probably a reason we didn't do it this year. Plus the 4 other MLP sites, and each ewe is assessed at each stage for life. So as I just mentioned, the base or foundation ewes, which were AI'd to produce the MLP F1 ewes, were of 2 distinct types. Both ewe types were sourced from the central west of New South Wales and hence represent local sheep types, with one being an all-purpose merino producing wool of 18 to 18.5 microns in fibre diameter, and the other a large framed heavy cutting merino of 20.5 to 21.5 microns in fibre diameter. Using the 2 different ewe types has provided the site with the opportunity to evaluate the performance of the MLP ewes across those different ewe genotypes and also in the Trangie environment. This use of contrasting dam types has been a theme of previous merino sire evaluation programs at the Macquarie site, including those commenced in 2012 and 2013. So our annual management calendar basically comprises a late December joining with lambing from mid-May, weaning at the end of August, and an annual assessment shearing in October. We're sort of like expectant parents at the moment, waiting to see when the first lambs will arrive on the ground. Matthew's made reference to the very large data set that is being collected across the sites, with data points that have been collected across wool, both measured and visual traits, reproduction, health and welfare, conformation, growth and carcass, and also classing destination. And this slide just shows you the breadth of information and the number of data points that have been collected on an annual basis on each of the individuals in the program. So where are we now? We've collected our A3 annual assessment data on the 2017 drop. And as I mentioned, they're commencing their second adult lambing, shown here by the white arrow. For the 2018 drop, we have A2 annual assessment data, and they're commencing their first adult lambing, also shown with the orange arrow. So in the promos, we promised you a different view of Trangie. So I'll finish off with some recent images of the ewes. And this was taken at the end of March, and you can see them with feed up to their bellies, and they're in really, really good condition. And this one taken about 2 weeks ago when they were drafted into their groups in preparation for lambing. Again, in really, really good condition, and we look forward to great lambing outcomes. So I'll hand back to you now, Fiona, before we have a look at some of the Macquarie site results.
Thanks, Kathryn. That was great. And I really, really enjoyed all your photos. That was fantastic, a really good way to visualize what's happening on the ground out there.